Hey everyone, it's Ethan or Miist back again for another video today. Welcome back to the channel, guys. We're here again for yet another video. Today we're going to be talking about every movie I watched last week, and overall it was a pretty decent week, I'd say. It's one of the better ones I've had recently, especially since like late September, so it's been about 2 months since I've had a week this solid. So I'm excited about that. I'm very happy about that. So let's get right into it, starting it off with my least favorite watch of the week, which is The Bike Riders, a 2024 release. Overall, this was alright. At this point, when I watched this, this was my fifth 2024 release in a row, and all four of the ones that I watched previously before that I really enjoyed. So it kind of sucks that this kind of ended the streak because I didn't really enjoy this one. I just don't think there's a lot to care for throughout this movie. Characters aren't interesting to me, really. The story's not that interesting either. And I don't really think this is my kind of movie, really, I guess. Overall, I just didn't really enjoy it that much. So I ranked it a 56 out of 100. So let's move on to License to Kill, which I ranked a 58 out of 100. So still going through the Bonds. This is my last week to do the Bonds while they're on Prime. And I wanted to get through more this week, but unfortunately, I've been waiting for my friend to watch GoldenEye. So I've been kind of waiting on him to get together so we can watch it. And that puts me at 9 movies now this week, which I know I can watch 9 movies this week, but I don't know when I'm going to be able to start this. So I know it's going to take some time, but Mel closes almost every night this week, so I should be able to grind them. That's the goal, at least. But nonetheless, License to Kill wasn't my favorite Bond by any means, but there was definitely some enjoyable parts to it. I really enjoyed Timothy Dalton, to be honest. He's definitely been one of my favorite Bonds, to be honest. I really wish he had more than 2 movies, but we'll talk about him more shortly. So overall, I like this one a little bit more than Bike Riders, ranked it a 58 out of 100. Let's move on to Oz the Great and the Powerful, of course, the theme of this week with Wicked, which we'll talk about later. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. So this one is pretty interesting, and this one actually gave you a lot of lore, exploration, and information about the universe of The Wizard of Oz / Wicked that I really didn't know. I didn't know a lot of this stuff. I didn't know that the wizard actually wasn't a real wizard. I don't remember that, if that was really in Wizard of Oz when I watched it earlier this year. Yeah, just I learned a lot, really, throughout this movie. And it's quite interesting and a little bit different. There's a lot of similarities, but a lot of differences compared to Wicked. So, yeah, nonetheless, I did enjoy this. Ranked it a 62 out of 100. Thought it was a decent watch. Let's move on to Argyle, which was a movie I've been wanting to watch legitimately all year, but I've been waiting for Mel, and kind of every time I've asked her to watch it, she didn't really want to. We finally got around to watching it together this week, and we both had a pretty decent time with it. I ranked it a 65 out of 100 because I definitely don't think it's bad, but there's definitely some enjoyable parts to this, but it's quite long. It's perhaps too long. The ending is literally Winter Soldier, like bar for bar almost. Like it's crazy. It's just so much like Captain America the Winter Soldier. The CGI is questionable throughout most of this movie, so it's, as much as I did enjoy some of this and have a good time with some of this, it's hard to give it a higher rank. So 65 out of 100, and Mel, I think, had ranked it in the 70s, or right around like an 80. She enjoyed it as well. So let's move on to The Living Daylights, which is actually now one of my favorite Bond movies, ranked at a 68 out of 100. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, and Timothy Dalton, like I mentioned, I thought he was a really great Bond, and again, I wish I had more than 2 experiences with him, or 2 movies with him, because I really think he deserved a little bit more, and it would have been nice to see him in at least 1 or 2 other Bond movies, because I think he could have been really awesome, and it kind of sucks, because again, I really enjoy Timothy Dalton, which I heard one of my colleagues that had talked to me about Bond movies said that the Timothy Dalton ones are grossly underrated. And honestly, I think so as well, especially The Living Daylights. I really, really enjoyed it. And I had a really fun time with this one. One of the most fun Bond movies as well, in my opinion. So, shout out to The Living Daylights. Let's move on to remember earlier when I talked about 5 2024 movies in a row. That's kind of what the rest of this list is almost. So let's talk about Look Back, which I ranked a 76 out of 100. It's about an hour short-ish film, released on Prime, 2024 release, like I mentioned. It's an anime feature that I really had a decent time with. It was kind of weird though. I swear when I was watching it at home, it was in English. And then I ended up downloading it, and then while I was free, while I was out, I was able to watch the rest of it. And I swear it was back in, I'm gonna say Japanese. Truthfully, I don't know. And I had to read the subtitles, so I don't know if that was me being an idiot or if I'm stupid or if that actually did happen. Nonetheless, this is a really tragic story, and I feel like it's slow. Picking up a little bit, but once we get to the good stuff, it gets really freaking good, and this is a really fun watch. And again, it's kind of devastating at the same time, but it was a fun anime movie to watch nonetheless, and I had a good time with it. Ranked at 76 out of 100. Let's move on to Transformers 1. Now, this is a movie I didn't get to see in theaters a few months ago when it came out, which kind of made me sad. I really wanted to watch it in theaters, even though I'm not a big Transformers guy, but I had a good time with this one. I ranked it a 77 out of 100. I think Chris Hemsworth is a pretty decent Optimus Prime, especially his voice. In some of the monologues throughout this movie, I thought he had a pretty solid Prime voice. Now, I'm not going to talk to you about most of the Transformers lore because I don't really know much about it, truthfully. And again, I don't have a big interest in the Transformers movies, especially not most of them. But this is one of my favorites that I've watched. And I'll have to update my list on Letterboxd. I haven't done that, by the way. Follow my Letterboxd, link in the description. But the final 20 to 25 minutes of this movie was really, really great. And it was one of my favorite last, thirds of a movie all year. It was really, really awesome, and there's plenty of moments that'll just leave your jaw on the floor. It literally made me, my mouth was watering watching some of these scenes. They were really, really awesome. So, yeah, I definitely recommend this as well, especially if you are a Transformers fan. Ranked it a 77 out of 100. Let's move on up next to 78 out of 100, perhaps my biggest hot take of the week, which is Gladiator. I only ranked it a 78 out of 100. I was kind of hoping for really spectacular things from this movie. Unfortunately, I didn't feel that way. There's definitely some iconic moments throughout this movie, obviously. It's really, really quotable. Some very awesome scenes, some great monologues as well. This week had tons of monologues, I found. But yeah, I felt like there was a little bit left to be desired from this movie. It felt really slow at times, but that's something I feel throughout most of Ridley Scott's filmography. I find that some of his movies can be dry at times, and it's really slow. And that's just me. I know not everyone feels that way, but when most of your movies are 2.5 to 3 hours long, sometimes they get a little bit long, and for me, not that my attention span is a bad thing, but sometimes it's hard to stay entertained throughout a long movie like that, and I did feel that way with this Gladiator, unfortunately. So, a 78 out of 100, it's something I really, really want to watch again, but as of right now, it's going to be staying at that 78 out of 100, which I know is definitely a hot take considering I prefer Gladiator 2, which I ranked an 83 out of 100, and yeah, I don't know. I felt more entertained throughout this one. I enjoyed the characters more, which people don't seem to enjoy the characters more in this one, and they seem to enjoy them more in the first. But I don't know. I definitely, like I said, I just had a better time with this. I thought the action was really, really awesome in both movies. There were some really great action scenes. Also, this cast is really, really awesome. There's a great cast throughout this movie with some really tremendous performances. Of course, Paul Mescal as the big one. He's fantastic, obviously. I had a really fun time with this. Denzel Washington, of course, is also great. And this was actually my first IMAX experience in my hometown. We finally just got an IMAX theater opened up in our Cineplex, so I'm very glad I was able to see that. It was the first IMAX showing in my town, or my city. So that was really, really awesome. But I didn't really find this felt like there was much IMAX throughout this movie. I didn't really notice it, to be honest, through this movie. where I did in on my only other IMAX watch, which was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania last year. So, yeah, I don't know. Again, I feel like this one is also one I'd like to rewatch maybe next year. So, 83 out of 100 for Gladiator 2. Let's move on to the top 3 of the week, which absolute sleeper of the year, and truthfully, I mean, this movie really came out of nowhere for me. Thelma. I ranked it 85 out of 100. One of the most fun watches I've had all year, and without a doubt, the funniest movie I've watched all year. And it actually dethrones Terrifier 3, which is really funny because the vibes are super, super different. Terrifier 3 really made me laugh a lot, made me cackling. I don't know if it was I don't know if it was a good thing that it was or not, but nonetheless, Thelma absolutely dethrones that by a landslide. This is the funniest movie of the year. I don't find many comedy movies to be funny, but this one was really, really funny, and I had a really great time with this one. There's lots to unpack throughout this movie as well. There's lots of character moments as well as fun moments, and there's a lot to enjoy here. If you guys have Paramount, please check out Thelma. This is a really great watch, and I had a splendid time with it, and it's one I'm literally recommending to everyone right now. It's one of the movies I'm thinking about the most right now. So go check out Thelma. Really, really awesome 2024 release. It made my top 10 immediately. So really, really awesome. Let's talk about another movie that has made my top 10 of the year so far in 2024, which is Wicked, which I ranked an 88 out of 100. Immediately after the movie, I ranked it an 86, but not long after, a few hours later, I decided to raise it up to an 88 out of 100. And yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of the year for sure. It's a fucking spectacle. I got to see this with Mel on like pre-opening night, early access. We get to see it on Wednesday rather than like Thursday when it would normally be like early access, and Friday on the release day. So we get to see it November 20th, which is really awesome. And Mel had a splendid, great time with this. Mel had so many emotions throughout this entire film, and she really, really had a great time with it, which I'm very happy because to me, this is like her Across the Spider-Verse. Like, I love Across the Spider-Verse with everything in my heart, and I want to watch it every fucking day. And Mel has finally found that with Wicked. Mel has already put it as her favorite movie ever, ranked it a 100 out of 100, and she was absolutely floored from every second of this movie. And she is a huge theater girl, and she's always been a theater girl, but she hasn't been doing theater for a few years now. But this has just brought both of us kind of try to get into theater again. So I'm really excited to see how this movie changes our lives over the next few months. We're going to see it again tonight. Tomorrow for me, tonight for you guys. So I'm really excited to rewatch it again because this ending, I can't stop thinking about the ending of this movie. Defying Gravity is one of my favorite songs of the year, without a doubt. It's been my most listened to song this week, and a Juice WRLD song came out this week, which is pretty insane. Like, I've been listening to Defying Gravity like crazy, nonstop. Absolutely spectacular. Please, please go watch this movie, especially if you're a fan of musicals or theater, because this is so fucking good, and I can't express it enough, and I can't wait to rewatch it. And I'm not even putting into words how great this is because I'm not a theater kid. I've never seen the play. I've never read the book. This is something that Mel grew up on, and she absolutely loves it. So I can't wait to rewatch it, and I can't wait for part 2 next year. Now, let's move on to my favorite watch of the week, which is 300, which is really surprising because Zack Snyder is kind of hit or miss for me sometimes. There's a lot of good in his filmography, and there's a lot of okay in his filmography. This one absolutely smashed it out of the park. He was firing on all cylinders throughout this movie. This is one of the most beautiful movies I've watched recently over the past few months, because again, I haven't been watching a lot of great movies, but this movie was amazing. I ranked it a 90 out of 100. It's one of my highest rated over the past like 2 or 3 months as well. So I really, really had a great time with this movie. It's visually appealing to my eyes, especially. I think the cinematography throughout this film is fantastic. The directing is awesome. The monologues in this movie, in my opinion, are far greater than either Gladiator movie. Like, really, really special. There's some amazing action, and this is just an awesome movie. Really, it's just the best way I can put it. It's just awesome, and I had a fun fucking time with this movie. Makes it my favorite movie of the week. So, with that being said, thank you guys all so much for watching. This was a bit of a longer one, talked about Wicked a lot. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.